Acorn TV, proud sponsor of Just Seen It, offers hundreds of hours of British mysteries, dramas, and comedies streaming commercial-free on demand. Learn about our 30-day trial at acorn.tv/PTV. A lawyer known only as the counselor has a history of selfishness and greed.
I owe you.
Yes, you do.
When he descends into the world of drug trafficking, he finds himself in over his head.
If you're not in, you need to tell me.
Why?
Because you don't know someone till you know what they want.
Not knowing who to trust may cost him everything.
How bad is it?
Let's say pretty bad.
In The Counselor.
Hi, I'm Zorianna.
I'm Salim.
And I'm Sean. Next up is The Counselor, directed by Ridley Scott and written by Cormac McCarthy. We've all just seen it. Zorianna, counsel me on this movie.
Okay, well, the screenplay was written by Cormac McCarthy, who we all know as the Pulitzer Prize-winning author. No Country for Old Men, The Road, All the Pretty Horses. And this screenplay was written by him, and he'd never written a screenplay before. And he probably could have used some counsel on writing this screenplay. This was sold as a first draft, and it shows.
And it's interesting, because he actually wrote this project while he was taking a break from another project. And I don't understand how he comes up with a screenplay, an executive reads and says, all right, I'm going to give you anything that you want for this screenplay, even though this is the first script he's ever written. It didn't really make any sense.
I guess he's Cormac McCarthy, and they thought it must be great. I think this is the case where people read something and they had absolutely no idea what was going on in the script, and they went, well, this must be great, because I have no idea what's going on.
Well, I'll tell you what's going on. This film is about a drug deal gone wrong, but never once do we see the drug deal. We just see people talking about the deal, worrying about the deal, warning each other about the deal. There is no deal to see.
Well, that's how bad it goes. It's barely even there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of telling and not showing, which is unfortunate because a movie like No Country for Old Men is kind of the opposite, which of course he didn't write the script for, and it makes a little bit more sense. But for here, he feels like he needs to say everything in each scene that possibly could be said by each character instead of cutting it about halfway through, because this isn't a novel. Sometimes you need to let the scenes play out and breathe and not have every single character just talk.
But he writes it like it's a novel.
He does.
That's why it's packed with these long philosophical speeches that are not cinematic by any stretch of the imagination.
Counselor, if you pursue this road that you've embarked upon, you will eventually come to moral decisions that will take you completely by surprise. You won't see it coming at all.
I don't intend to take this up as a trade.
Yeah, one-time deal, right?
I would watch some scenes and I would go, that's a really good scene. The dialogue crackles with a certain amount of finesse. The situations are interesting. And I think if you could pluck any individual scene from the movie, you could say this is a really well-constructed, well-written scene. But it's like 100 different scenes that are just vignettes that don't come together at all. You've got characters popping in and out of this movie at random. They really just needed to go, okay, what's the story here? Who are these people? Who's doing what and why? What does everyone want? Either no one asked these questions or they were satisfied by them on paper, but when they get on screen, I don't know the answer to any of these questions.
Yeah.
You do have to admit that this is probably the sexiest cast of the decade. I mean, you've got, you know, Penélope Cruz, Cameron Diaz, Michael Fassbender, Javier Bardem, Brad Pitt. It looks great, but unfortunately, their performances aren't always up to par. I mean, Javier Bardem is probably the main reason to see this film. He plays another one of his out there characters with the wacky hairstyles and these tacky shirts, and he's very charismatic. He just like puts in 110% into this role.
I know why I'm in it, do you?
Sure, same as you, greed.
Yeah. No, you got in trouble. You got in trouble. I tried to appeal to your greed 2 years ago. No deal. Now it's too late. It's too late.
What do you think I should do?
I don't know, Counselor. I don't know.
A lot of these characters have actually done movies with each other before. We have Brad Pitt and Michael Fassbender, who were recently in 12 Years a Slave. Penelope Cruz and Cameron Diaz were in Vanilla Sky together. And so a lot of the chemistry is on the screen. I really enjoyed Michael Fassbender and Penelope Cruz chemistry. Unfortunately, her character was criminally underused. She was only there for being a damsel in distress.
Right.
Ridley Scott directed a very competent picture. Visually, it looked great. Some scenes sung in terms of the visual aesthetic, but I imagine there's some scenes that he was in the editing room and the editor says, okay, this scene needs to be cut down a little bit, and then he kind of turns and is like, well, you tell Cormac McCarthy that you want to cut his dialogue. I mean, that's the only thing it could have been.
Well,
It's the pacing that was off to me. I mean, the first bit of action doesn't happen until well over an hour into the film. By the time the first head rolls or there's some blood, you're already bored and falling asleep, so it's like a little too late.
Maybe there's a certain choice that they're trying to stay ahead of the audience. They're trying to say, these characters know a lot more than you do, and you're going to catch up. But eventually, you're not catching up, and eventually, if you cannot figure out what's going on, you're going to check out.
Too much talk, not enough action. Javier Bardem is the sole saving grace of this movie, so I say stream it.
The movie works on a scene-by-scene basis, but the problems with the pacing make this a movie I cannot confidently recommend. Stream it.
The counselor, despite hints of McCarthy's talent, would need a team of lawyers to figure out its inner workings. Skip it.
Well, our votes add up to 1 full ticket, so that would be a stream it for the counselor.
Cheers.
And that would be jeers.
Oh, yeah.
You want to see my cheetah print tattoo?
It's an infomercial for people to buy cheetahs.
Acorn TV, proud sponsor of Just Seen It, offers hundreds of hours of British mysteries, dramas, and comedies streaming commercial-free on demand. Learn about our 30-day trial at acorn.tv/PTV.